a Florida courtroom, a 75-year-old woman stood before a judge, waiting to hear a sentence that could determine the rest of her life. But the moment that left the entire courtroom silent wasn't the sentence itself. It was what she said just moments before it was handed down. She didn't ask for mercy. She didn't accept responsibility. And she didn't appear ready to admit defeat. Instead, Donna Adelson claimed that she was the real victim. And only minutes later, the judge was forced to interrupt her in the middle of the courtroom. This wasn't just another sentencing hearing. It was the latest chapter in one of America's most controversial true crime cases of the past decade. A case centered around the death of law professor Dan Markel, a father, a respected legal scholar, and the center of a years-long storm involving family conflict, courtroom battles, and relentless media attention. Even today, many people believe the full truth may still be hidden beneath the surface. The day of the sentencing unfolded in an atmosphere thick with tension. Courtroom cameras were rolling early. The victim's family appeared through Zoom, and thousands of people who had followed the case for years were locked onto live streams, waiting for every moment. Everyone understood. This was no longer just a legal proceeding. Because for years, the Dan Markel case had become an obsession within the American true crime community. A case filled with controversial phone calls, conflicting testimony, mysterious details that divided the internet, and endless theories that refused to disappear. Some believed the case had already been solved beyond any doubt, but others argued there were still too many unanswered questions. As the hearing began, the first thing that surprised many viewers wasn't the prosecution. It was the defense strategy. Rather than focusing entirely on legal arguments, they tried to paint Donna as an aging grandmother with declining health, a devoted mother, a wife who had spent more than 50 years beside her husband. Then the character letters began. Friends described her as compassionate. Former employees called her kind and supportive. Some even said they couldn't imagine her being connected to a crime like this. But that was the moment a larger question began forming in many people's minds. Can someone's public image really outweigh what a jury has already decided? Or is it possible for two completely different versions of a person to exist at the same time? Then the atmosphere shifted. Donna's husband stood up to speak. He insisted that his wife was innocent. He argued that years of media coverage had poisoned the case, and he suggested the trial itself had been influenced by public opinion long before it ever reached a courtroom. Inside the courtroom, the tension immediately grew heavier, because this no longer sounded like a husband simply defending his wife. It sounded like a direct challenge to the entire investigation. And online, the reactions came almost instantly. Some viewers believed the family was simply desperate. Others believed they genuinely saw Donna as innocent until the very end. But the most controversial moment still hadn't happened yet. When Donna Adelson finally stood to address the court herself, the entire courtroom fell almost completely silent. She began by talking about Dan Markel, calling him a good father, a brilliant scholar, a respected man. That alone surprised many people. But only seconds later, Donna shifted toward something very few expected to hear. She declared that she was completely innocent. Not only that, she claimed she had never known about any plan connected to Dan's death. And from that moment on, the internet exploded with debate. One side argued, if she's innocent, she has every right to say it. But others asked, if this was her final opportunity before sentencing, why not express regret in a different way? Why continue denying every form of responsibility? And perhaps most importantly, was this statement actually helping Donna? Or was it only reinforcing what the public already believed about the verdict? Then the hearing became even more tense. During her statement, Donna began criticizing the media, the trial location, the jury, and what she described as an unfair legal process. That was the moment the judge stepped in and interrupted her in open court. The moment quickly became one of the most talked about parts of the hearing online, because to many legal analysts following the case, this no longer sounded like a statement asking for leniency. It sounded like a public declaration that Donna intended to keep fighting until the very end. But what caught many people's attention wasn't only what Donna said, it was how she said it. She didn't break down emotionally, she didn't panic, she didn't ask for forgiveness. Some viewers saw the calmness of someone who truly believed in her innocence. Others saw something entirely different. And that may be the reason this case continues to divide so many people, because nearly every detail seems to create two completely different interpretations. The same phone call can sound suspicious to one person, while another believes it proves nothing. The same testimony can appear critical to some, while others dismiss it as circumstantial speculation. And the deeper people go into this case, the more they realize this isn't just a criminal investigation anymore. It has become a debate about family power, psychological influence, public perception, and the way people define justice itself. As the hearing moved closer to its final moments, everyone inside the courtroom understood that Donna Adelson's life was about to change forever. But strangely, as the sentence approached, the biggest question for many viewers was no longer, how many years will she receive? Instead, it became, if Donna truly is innocent, as she claims, what convinced the jury otherwise? But if the verdict was correct, how did a family once described as successful and respected end up here? And maybe that is the reason the Dan Markel case continues to haunt the American true crime community years later. Because while the court may have delivered its verdict, outside the courtroom, the real debate may only be beginning. Even today, one question still remains impossible to answer with certainty. Is Donna Adelson telling the truth? Or is this the final denial of someone unwilling to accept that everything is finally